The two gentlemen have confirmed that most of the books in Nigeria are printed overseas. Here are the top 6 countries where most books imported into the country are printed: India, China, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, Lebanon, and South Africa. As you can see, most of them are Asian countries. Here's a bit of research we conducted for your consideration. We used the same book specification to get quotations from 3 different printers in the United Arab Emirates, India, and Nigeria for the unit cost for 2,000 copies of the same book. Here are the costs. United Arab Emirates, $5.85. India, $5. Nigeria, $5.06. Now, the cost for printing in the UAE and India includes air freighting to Nigeria. Now, note that air freighting for the 2 foreign countries takes a substantial amount of their total costs. So here's a comparison when you strictly consider printing costs. United Arab Emirates, $4. India, $3. Nigeria, $6. So you can see that printing costs twice as much in Nigeria as you have in India. As you know, the more the number of copies you print, the wider the gap in cost terms. When we asked local printers about their most difficult challenges when it comes to bringing down the cost of producing books locally, the following list came up: poor power supply, the need to import papers, tariffs and duties on importation of printing materials, including papers, ink, printing machines, and so on, taxes, and of course, lack of enough patronage. Now, let's return to the chat with Emmanuel Abimbola and Otumba Lawal Sholari. Is the current forex situation in Nigeria, is it a blessing for local production of books? Is it a blessing in disguise for local production of books?
Well,
because sorry, Emmanuel, I've noticed that some people who have always been used to printing overseas, now because of the forex situation, are forced to explore local printers. Now, that ordinarily should bring business to the local printers.
Yeah.
But the printers say, not exactly, because they still have different tariffs and duties on printing products. They have to import paper, they have to import ink material,
exactly.
They have to import all those things.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that?
Well, you see, the forex issue is, let me say, it's a blessing in disguise, because it's not as if the forex is not available, you know, for publishers, or printers who want to, you know, get it. But it's just that, you know, it can take a long time. Sometimes you get there and, you know, the documentation is cumbersome and it has to get to the central bank for approval before you get it. So it takes a lot of time. You understand? Now, for the local printers now, if you now bring job to them, okay, if you can't get forex to go abroad and print, you want to resort to the local printer, just like you said, the consumables, the papers, foreign exchange, the forex also determines all this. So the paper has become very expensive. I know between December and now, the price of paper has doubled.
That's true.
It has doubled, and other consumables alike. So there is no difference. There is no, so the job is not really coming to them, the local printer, because the consumable.
No, okay.
Yeah, there's no difference.
Can I contribute to that? Yes, there are problems at the moment. It's a blessing in disguise, as you said. But on the other hand, it may not remain a blessing, provided the local printer, like you said, has a forex to import paper, has the import duty on consumables that goes to printing of books, whatever it is lower. But you see, there is a problem here, as I always say. You know, we're talking about government. If the government is going to make a regulation, it cannot be entirely discriminatory. Because if you make the whole thing absolutely discriminatory, people will barge into that because they're going to get an advantage. I told you the question about paper. In this country before, import duty on paper was removed for publishers. Suddenly everybody became a publisher. They were getting the import duty free paper and they were selling on the open market. Here. So that's a discriminatory discriminatory
Law or policy.
policy
Yeah.
in favor of, So, what government probably could do is to say that, and I think that's also happening at the moment. If you're a printer and you are geared to publishing books, or you have a capacity to print books and you have equipment to print books, they can give you a discriminatory
A concession.
tariff
Concession,
Yeah.
yeah.
to bring your paper in or ink, whatever it is, bring it in. But you see, as it is at the moment, in a free economy, you have what you have. The guy who brings in paper or imports paper is different from the guy who prints in, bring in plates, bring in washers, bring in whatever it is. So where do you start and where do you finish? Listen, I'm not advocating something for government, but I'm just being realistic. Because if we are not careful, you get back to square one.
That's square one. So what should the government do? What should be done?
Well, what the government should do probably, first of all, as I said, there's a national book policy, and we must go back to that.
Is the national book policy being implemented?
No,
Not at all.
nobody implements the national book policy. If the national book policy is implemented, we wouldn't even go to abroad. We wouldn't even allow the Indians to come in.
Because the national book policy
It's
states
insisted that the
that books produced.
books especially for primary schools,
The elementary schools.
the elementary schools, up to GSS, maybe SSS, should be authored by Nigerian teachers, should be published by Nigerian publishers, should be printed by Nigerian printers, and should be distributed by Nigerian booksellers
From primary school,
to GSS.
the
But because by
high
the time you
school.
are GSS or whatever it is, the quantum of books is small.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are talking about tertiary education, but the big education is in between the pre-primary school books, pre-primaries, primary, GSS,
Junior
and secondary
secondary.
school. That's where you
well,
have it.
but does that again not bring up the issue of capacity? Do we have the capacity locally
We
to
can.
produce
yeah.
the kind of quality that our children need for their education? Considering the kind of research that needs to go.
Listen, I've been here for a while, and what I'm going to say now, publishers who have been here for a while can bear witness to it. When I set up a printing press, I needed to use my capacity, because I had more capacity than I needed to print my only single book, The Medifarm. So I sold my printing capacity to publishers. Macmillan, Heinemann, everybody. They were coming to print with me. They were bringing their own papers, bringing their own covers, because there was a specification by government of what kind of quality you can put in this school system. So it's all been there before. We just let it go. All we have to do is to dust the books and bring back all those regulations. They are there. The quality was done. They were printed for me. There was a particular case of a guy in the publishing industry who came to me and said that what I had printed, it was not acceptable to him, and therefore he was not taking delivery. You know what I said to him? I said, fine. I said, leave it, don't pay. Take a copy of what you have just said, take it abroad, print it abroad, come back and compare with what I've done. If yours is better than mine, fine, forget it. You know what he did? He did, and brought it back and found that his quality abroad was not better than mine. They were done by Nigerians. So let's talk about capacity. We can build capacity very quickly. There are many printers. There are many printers in Shomolu who do very good jobs. They may not have the whole total equipment. But in England, what happens? You can even have printers who don't have finishing. They take all the books, the printing jobs to a finisher who will then finish it and deliver. It can be done. Let's face it, we can build capacity in Nigeria. The printers, when they ask government to put 50%, I told them personally that that's not on. There's a banned convention. You cannot do that. You cannot force government to put 50% on import duty on paper, on books. The banned convention means that all books that come into any internationally is free of import duty. So you can't do that.
Okay.
So we got that out. The government rescinded. But the point is that the printers also should work with the publishers. They cannot go independently to government. And I've told them several times. So if we both work between publishers and printers to see that printers print our books according to the National Book Policy, it can be done within 6 months. Take it from me.